Hello again, whiskey friends. Welcome back. It's Love It or Leave It. So I was thinking about different things to do for a video, and the title's not mine. Obviously, there's been a lot of titles like this, but I was thinking about the bourbon that got me into drinking bourbon. What is the one bourbon that, as I was thinking back, I chased and chased when I first started drinking bourbon a little while ago, and it was wheated bourbon. What's funny is, even though it's probably been the one bourbon that got me into bourbon, it's probably one that I don't go back to very often, which is wheated bourbon. So, love it or leave it. Let's look at three wheated bourbons that I really like today, but also there's one that probably I sought after more than any other. We'll find out what that is in just a moment, so stick around and we'll get it started. All right, welcome back, everybody. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe. It really helps us and helps us know you better. So make sure you leave those comments and let us know about what you think about these videos, but also if you have similar thoughts or if you had similar comparisons that you've done that you want to share, that's what that's for. So let's get into it. We're looking at three different wheated bourbons today. We're going to be doing Ben Holliday, which has been one of my favorite newer wheated bourbons. Now, this was the one that got me into bourbon in the first place. I think we can all pretty much agree that, everybody kind of searches after Weller or did, or at some point did. The next one is another one of my favorite new ones. It's from Green River. It's their wheated bourbon. So we're going to compare all three of these, and I'm going to share a little bit of my story about what I liked about wheated bourbons when I first got into them, and then kind of compare and just kind of talk through some of these. I did not rate all of these in our scoring system. I just wanted to kind of get this out there as a new kind of way to talk and discuss about whiskey. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's start with the Ben Holliday. So as we're talking about wheated, one of the things that I always thought was cool about wheated bourbon was that it was a little bit more fruit forward, which again kind of progressed my palate towards that and other areas. But right off the bat, this nose reminds me of that wheated fruit note, but also how wheat could actually be kind of spicy sometimes. So let's get into the palate on this one and let's check it out. So first sip tonight. Sweet up front. Got a little bit of maple coming off of this and some really nice oak on these. Obviously, the proof's a little bit more on this one particularly than the other two. So I do think that that's going to be a little bit of a standout. But overall, the caramel and how the wheat presents itself in the palate with where it sits. What I mean by that is where it sits on the front, the mid, or the back. And on this particular one, it kind of hits between the front and the mid, which is a little bit different. The oak still, sticking around. It's pretty viscous and pretty oily, so it does coat the palate well, which is really nice. And for the price point of like $62, it's really nice to have this particular wheated option in the arsenal. Did get to visit there. Love the grounds, love the master distiller and his thoughts about making whiskey, and their distillate does taste really good by itself as well. It is not a sour mash, but a sweet mash process. So basically, if you don't know what that is, a sweet mash means they clean out every single thing out of that bin before they make the new batch. A sour mash saves some of the old and puts it into the new to try to convey a consistency. So with this particular sweet mash, it does provide a little bit more fruit forward aspect to the wheated bourbon, which I really like and enjoyed and have always enjoyed. So let's take one more sip. We'll go into the second one. All right, man, that oak presence is really nice on there. You get the oak, but you don't get any of the tannins, which I really like. Now we're going into The Weller 107 Antique. This is the one that got me into bourbon. And here's the thing that I loved about this bottle is that it was so easy to drink. Number one, it was so approachable. And I really it was the first time that I really ever had that aha moment of like, I really enjoy this. I could really get into this and nerd out over it. So on the color, we're looking at really, really good copper color here. So this one's a little less fruity on the nose. Get a little bit more caramel on the nose than on the Ben Holliday, but the Ben Holliday had a lot of caramel on the palate. So let's get a little bit of that fruit note with some aeration. Let's go in for a sip. Come on. That's really good too. This one has an odd, this is a single barrel versus a batch product on this particular one because I didn't have the regular. But it does kind of have an odd flavor profile to it that is a little bit different than most wheated bourbons that I have on this particular single barrel. It comes across like a little bit of grape note, maybe, which I don't normally get that type of a note on a wheated bourbon, but it almost seems artificial. So I don't get as much oak on this one at all. The finish on this is really subdued compared to the first one, but that, again, that's the highest proof one, was the first one. Now, the very first thing that I noticed whenever I first drank these particular 107s was how sweet it was up front. And I think that's really what drew me in. So I'm a pretty heavy boy. So as a kid, I loved sweets growing up. Still do. But it was really nice to have that sweetness. Now, on this particular one, that part where I was talking about the wheat influencing where it hits your palate, this one was all up front. You get that kind of little pricky note that you get with rye spice. But it presents its way. Wheat presents itself in that way sometimes too. Last sip, and then we'll go on. So as you guys are commenting, let me know what your first wheated bourbon was. If you enjoyed wheated before and you don't now as much, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences and stories, because that's really what this is all about. I mean, it's about the people, not the whiskey. So this is before I take nose, this is the wheated bourbon from Green River. So this one gets a little bit more bready notes on it up front. I can tell it's a little bit younger on the distillate just by those particular notes, but also the sharpness of some of the ethanol notes that are coming off of this compared to the other two. Ooh, this is softer up front. So this one's a little bit more delicate. A little bit more dark tones in this than I remembered. Now, I haven't drank this particular one in probably, I don't know, a few months, 5 months. But it is really a lot darker than I remember. That's the fun part about going back to a whiskey that you've experienced before, is going back and realizing, hey, I don't remember tasting that before, especially after it's had some air, and to see how the whiskey evolves throughout its course of life in the bottle, as it'll change sometimes for the better or sometimes for the worse. Yeah, this is so much more approachable than the other two. Now, granted, the first one was a barrel rickhouse proof, so it's more like a full proof than the other two being at 107, and I think this one's at 100. No, this is at 90. So we went from highest to lowest. I did that unintentionally, but I probably should have done it the other way around. So this one's at 90. So you're looking at a 90 proof versus 107 versus like a 120 something, 130 something proof. What I will say about this particular one, the Green River, is just how approachable it is. It's soft, it's delicate on the nose. It's the only thing that I notice is that this can come off a little bit more floral than either one of the others, which for some people can be a turnoff. For me, it's not particularly. but you still get I get some apple notes on this that I don't get on the other two. So that's fun. Very easy to drink. Like I said, that's for somebody who's getting into wheated bourbons, like I would totally reach out because it's available and it's really good proof point to start with at 90 proof. And then I'm not sure if Green River said or not said if they were going to do a foolproof version of this, but I would love to see it and see what it tastes like. Again, this is becoming off more like cinnamon apples, which is really strange for a wheated bourbon. So I say with all these three different proof points, I think that you could not go wrong with any one of these. These are all available for the most part. If you can find Weller 107 in Ohio, where for some reason it all floods to. The other two are readily available, excuse me, and should be in your area pretty much anywhere. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Love it or leave it. I think I'm going to love it. I don't think I'm going to leave this one. I thought when I first started this, I was going to say, I'll move on from wheated bourbons. But no, I really enjoy these. Going back to them was a fun project for me, just to kind of go back to some of the things that I really started with and then see how much I really enjoyed them versus some of the more outskirt things that I'm into now, and different things from rum to scotch to tequila, all kinds of different spirits. But these were the things that brought me into the bourbon craze. And so let me know what brought you into your bourbon craze. Do you go back to it? Do you love it? Do you leave it? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and we'll see you right back here next time. Hello again, whiskey friends. See you soon.